Well, truck driver Mike coming back at you from inside the truck. And if you can see out the window, it's snowing out there. Snowing. And I feel like one of those snowy road ice, like one of those snowy road ice trucker or something or other show. Out here driving in the snow. Speaking of driving in the snow, today is Saturday. I don't normally work a Saturday. I try not to work the weekends, but I don't have any full control over that. The issue is, in the trucking industry, you are married to the truck. You are married to the job. I'll give you an example of what I mean. A few years ago, we were sitting in a safety meeting with the safety director and a bunch of drivers and management and stuff. And the Super Bowl was going to come up in a couple of weeks, and a bunch of the drivers typically will leave out about 2 or 3 o'clock Monday morning to make their runs. And the safety director said, you have to get your 10 hours. You have to take 10 hours off. You have to get a full 8 hours of sleep. If that means you miss the Super Bowl, if you can't watch the Super Bowl because you have to be sleeping, then so be it. Right? And in concept, he's correct. You don't want to be tired and groggy when you're out driving a truck, especially in the wintertime. So that brings me to the point, right? If you work in almost any other job and you're kept up late at night, or you're busy, or something happens, a water heater breaks and you stay up and fix it or whatever, and you go into work the next day and you're tired and groggy, it usually is not a big deal. Yeah, you're not going to be as productive. You're not paying full attention. You're not, up to par, up to snuff like you normally are. But it's not a big deal. In truck driving, the DOT rules state that if a DOT officer stops you, let's say he stops you to scale, or he pulls you over for a ticket, or whatever the deal is, if a DOT officer thinks, if he believes that you are tired, he can shut you down right then and there. He can refuse to let you to go out and drive just by thinking that you're tired. So if you have that tired look about you, chances are you'll get shut down for 10 hours. They'll shut you down for 10 hours. You can't go anywhere. You can't even drive to a motel. Wherever that truck parked, that's where it's at. You're stuck for 10 hours because the DOT cop thinks you might be tired. Now, that being said, they probably don't abuse that. So if you're really looking tired and they think you are, I would assume you probably are. But they have the authority to shut you down. Okay? You don't get that in any other job. If you're a factory worker, you're an electrician, or you're a plumber, and you go in and you're tired and dragging, your hind end is dragging and you're groggy, and you don't get as many wires as connected as you normally would, or you don't get the pipes soldered or welded together the right way, and make a mistake, whatever, it happens. It's no big deal. The boss might get mad, the boss might even send you home. But if that happens when you're driving a truck, they'll give you a fine. They will assess a fine against your license. And so it costs money for you to get caught in that condition. So your whole job, the whole entire job, is predicated on what you do with a truck. Your off time is also dictated by what you're allowed to do, because of what you have to do, your rights and responsibilities as a truck driver. Your off-duty time is influenced. This is a Saturday job. I don't normally work Saturday. The boss calls on and says, you have to work Saturday. Wait a minute, what do you mean I have to work Saturday? What if I have something planned? The boss doesn't care. They go by what the customer says. The freight has to move. If they need you to work Saturday, you work Saturday. In most cases, they ask me. In my job, I can kind of refuse a Saturday. There's other drivers that will pick up and do that. But this Saturday, today, it was, we need all the drivers. All the drivers have to work Saturday. I did have other plans. Stuff that I'd scheduled weeks and weeks ago for this particular Saturday. And then the boss calls up and says, you got to work Saturday. That's part of the trucking industry. In factories, if you're a factory worker, and I was one for a while, if they want you to work overtime, they can keep you up to 4 hours in one day. They won't have to let you go home, but they can't force you to work overtime the next day, for example. They have to post it, and there's so much time goes, they have to allow so much time for people to accommodate working overtime. So typically what a factory will do is they'll say, okay, next month, starting next month, the first of the month, we're going to start working 2 to 4 hours of overtime every week. They'll give you a time frame. Here's a red light. I'm going to run it because I ain't going to stop. I'm not stopping for a red light in this weather. That's not good. I'm not even speeding. I'm already going slow, but I'm running a full load, and there's an inch of snow on the road, and the light turns, and there's no warning with their lights. They just turn, so we have to take that into account. And so I thought I could get through safely, so I did. But back to the overtime thing, in factories, they have to accommodate the fact that workers have home schedules, what they call a home life, their life other than work. In truck driving, that's not the case. That's not true. You don't get to claim, I have a home life, I can't go. Not exactly sure why they can get away with that, but a lot of the trucking companies do. They will call what they refer to as forced dispatch. If they tell you you have to go, or they can fire you. Now, I've never really worried about that. If they force dispatch me and I don't want to go, Jesus Christ, another one. I ain't going to make this stop. Oh, I ain't going to make this stop. Holy cow. Check that out. I did. I made it. I made the stop. That's because I wasn't going too fast. But for me, if they forced dispatch and it didn't fit my schedule, I clocked out, I gathered up my belongings, and I went home. I was done. I wouldn't tolerate that. So I actually chose the companies that I worked for based on how they ran their schedule. If they ran forced dispatch, I would tell them I don't do forced dispatch. And if they had a problem with that, we could figure it out before I actually started working for them. If they were the kind of company that they thought they had the right to tell me what to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, and anything I had on my own was, secondary, I wouldn't work there. I need to know that I have some non-driving time available to me. I got to have some. I can't live in the truck 24/7. That's not me. I don't mind getting out on the road. I don't mind coming in on an occasional Saturday for this. We don't work every Saturday. We're not called up all the time. It really is an issue of the customer needs a special load run on a Saturday or a Sunday. It doesn't happen that often, so I stay working here. But that's not true for a lot of trucking companies. So speaking of schedules, if you read the want ads, a lot of the trucking companies will say something like home weekends. home weekends. Okay, so if you're a factory worker or an electrician or a plumber, you work Monday through Friday, 5 days. Even if you work an occasional Saturday or whatever, your 5-day week, your typical 40 hours is Monday through Friday. Friday afternoon, whatever time you get off, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you're done. That starts your weekend, Friday. So you get Friday evening, Saturday, all day Sunday. You get to go to sleep Sunday night, and you don't actually start work till Monday morning. So typically you get close to 2.5, almost 3 days is a weekend. A good 2.5 days for a weekend. That's common in most businesses, most jobs, most occupations. There's some that are not. I mean, like doctors and nurses, they have to work a schedule according to how the hospital can schedule them, but they get their time off. They don't work, 30 hours straight, typically. They're not forced to work, 20 or 30 days in a row without time off. In the trucking industry, when they refer to home weekends, what that typically means is, because the federal government requires a 34-hour restart, what that means is you come rolling in on Saturday, the middle of the day Saturday, you come in to your home terminal, shut the truck down, pack up your stuff. You go home for 34 or 36 hours, and you're expected to get back out on the road. So that puts it out there about Sunday afternoon, a day and a half. So if you come rolling in on noon on Saturday, we got a little traffic here. Somebody fell off the road, crashed into the gate. 4-wheel drive too, stuck in the ditch. So you come rolling in on Saturday, you're expected to leave out Sunday night, not Monday morning. You don't even get the 2 full days. You get 34 hours, a day and a half, and they refer to that as home weekends. You're home the weekend. You're home on part of the day Saturday, and you're home on part of the day Sunday. That's the whole weekend in the trucking industry. That's very common. I used to have to ask that question. Companies would advertise, come work for us, your home weekends. And when I would ask them, that's what they would say. Oh yeah, you can usually get you in, sometimes Saturday morning, Saturday by noon, and then you're expected to roll out by dinner time Sunday. Day and a half. Where the rest of the working world gets 2.5 days. You get a day and a half. If that's not a problem for you, then you can make it in the trucking industry. All I'm saying is, when you're a truck driver, you do not have control of your schedule. The dispatcher does. The dispatcher has control of your schedule. They tell you how many days you're going to work, which days you're going to drive, which days you get off, all of that stuff. If you get a really good dispatcher, yes, they will work with you. If you need, if you can schedule far out enough time, they will work with you. And let's say you got a wedding or something you want to go to, and you know that a couple of months ahead of time, you work that with your dispatcher so that they can get you home in time for that wedding. Most dispatchers, I think, are fairly reasonable, but there are ones out there that use that forced dispatching, and you really don't get any say. They tell you to go and you go. If you don't, you're fired. The good news about that in the trucking industry is if one company fires you, another will hire you. We talked about that in one of the other videos. So if you don't mind a goofy schedule, if you don't know from day to day what time you start, what time you end each day, if that doesn't bother you, then you can make it in truck driving. If you have children and you want to go to their school plays, you cannot be a truck driver and go to their school plays. It doesn't work. I don't care if you're a local LTL home everyday driver, your schedule is not the same. It is not the same. Uh-oh, I gotta check this. There's an accident up here. There's a car fire. There's a car fire, 26 westbound back into Chicago. Oh, so I need to go around. Okay, I gotta go around. Okay, there's problems on 94 going through Chicago. I gotta go around. Otherwise, I gotta sit through the problems. I don't want to do that. It's snowing out. There's bad traffic conditions. When I get north of Chicago, it's not supposed to be snowing up there. So that'll be good. I should be out of the snow in a little bit. But for right now, I'm gonna go around Chicago, avoid some of that mess, hopefully, and make it home on a Saturday. Now, this would be considered a short day. It's only 8 hours. A long day for me is 14 to 16 hours. That would be a long day. My average day is 10 to 10 and a half hours, 5 days a week. That's my average everyday regular schedule. If I want time off, let's say I want a doctor's appointment, you know, like most people, they can say, well, I'll come in a couple hours late, or I'll take off a couple hours early, go to the doctor's appointment, or go get my eyeglasses, or see the dentist, or whatever. Take a couple of hours off, take a half a day vacation, whatever. In trucking, that's almost impossible. Because the route I do, I run from Wisconsin down into Illinois, past Chicago down into Illinois. I cannot take a half a day. I can't get halfway down into Illinois, clock out, and then be home. I'm hundreds of miles away. So my schedule says I have to work the whole day. It's all or nothing. So if I have a 2-hour doctor appointment, I got to take the whole day off. I don't have control of my schedule where I can do half a day or part of a day. Again, if you can accommodate that, then you can make it in the trucking industry. If you can't, stay away. Don't do truck driving. Stay away. Anyway, we're coming up to the interstate. So I'm going to sign off because I want to be a little bit safe. I don't want the camera and lights going and distracting me. So this is Truck Driver Mike signing off from inside the truck. Watching the snow, driving careful. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.